All right, so the first question that came in was regarding the trainings and where to find trainings. And this is done in two places, actually. So our trainings are provided by the state support teams. And so data managers, teachers, whomever is needing training would go to the homepage of the Ohio Department of Education. And in the search box, you simply type in the word state. And as you see, the first item to pop up is state support teams. When you click on that, you have the first link, which takes you to the homepage for state support teams, which has a wonderful clickable map. And as you see, if I click on Columbus, here I have Region 11 State Support Team, which is the Columbus and surrounding area state support team. It has their phone number as well as a link to their website. Typically, a lot of state support teams are holding more private trainings for their early learning assessment. They are not actually putting all of them into OKRA, which is the second place that you can go to find trainings. And here is the OKRA website, which is very easy, occrra.org. And you just click on find training. What you do is just type in the training title. You can see here, you can type in ELA, and then you have date parameters. You also have county filters as well as other filters. And then you hit search and you will find your trainings that are local for you. But again, we do recommend trying the state support team outlet first. The second question was regarding score sheets. So what you do here is you go to the, again, the homepage for the Ohio Department of Education, and you click on topics, and you click down here to early learning, and that will take you to the homepage for early learning and school readiness, our office at ODE. And under preschool, you'll see early learning assessment. You click on that, and when you scroll down, you see here on the left, you have different clickable links. And I'm going to the link for teachers, early learning assessment for teachers. When you click on that, we have a host of resources and then all sorts of forms, including early learning assessment recording forms. And when you click on the link, it downloads for you. So this was the form number 3. So this is one of the options. And the nice thing about this form is that you have the rubrics right at the top, which just makes it so easy. Teachers can go in and highlight the crucial information that they are looking for and take their notes right on this form. And I'm going to go back to the website, and there are also forms that just are basically spreadsheets. And teachers can go through and choose the form that is right for them for either the 10 or the 32 learning progressions.
So one of the comments that came in for us was regarding the webinars and the information that we share about those webinars. So it says here, note that they're asking us if we can note whether this will be for entry-level data managers or if there are new items for continuing data managers to hear also. Certainly, we know that your time is valuable and you want to know whether or not this, the webinars or the information that we're posting and putting out there is going to be worth your time. So this is a note well taken. We will, in future communications about trainings and webinars, we'll make sure that we indicate that information. Hopefully, you all have found that this has been beneficial, whether you are a new data manager or a continuing data manager. Again, we wanted this to be beneficial for both, but it's duly noted that we need to make sure we indicate that on the trainings that we post, and we will do so moving forward. So thank you for that suggestion. And then we had one additional suggestion that stated that the webinars are a little difficult to hear and they're hard to hear, that we need to make other avenues available for learning and participating. This is another point well taken. One of the things that we try to do is we make sure that after the webinar, within a day or so, we post the notes and the information from the webinar. So it takes us some time to kind of compress the video and get all of that ready to be posted. But we do try to get the information out in a very timely fashion. So we record the webinars, we post the notes and chats and information from the webinar. Do try to synthesize that so it's simple and easy to read and kind of go through. And then we also try to spend some time breaking up the video from the webinar so you don't have to hear a lot of the in-between, so you can get right to the meat of the content, if you will. And so we do know that sometimes there can be some technical difficulties, as inherent with all technology. There will be trouble and problems, but what we're trying to do is make sure that we post that information so that you do have access to that in multiple venues. But also I'm interpreting this to say that there's also a need for other ways of learning and participating. And we are exploring those things where certainly if you have additional questions or need additional help, we make our contact information available, whether that's vis-a-vis our email address or submitting a web form on our website. And I'll take you through and show you some of those other ways that you can reach out to us and get responses to your questions.
One question came from Deb, and she wanted to know what is the due date for EMIS reporting of ECE students? And I know Elizabeth touched on this and had the screen up as well with that information. And for children funded by preschool, the PSE, or the ECE, they must be entered into EMIS by August 9th. So as a data manager, make sure you pull any reports before, what was the last day for pulling the report? June 28th. Pull those reports, even though you're not going to be submitting that to EMIS until the deadline date of August 9th. You can always do it early as well, but you want to make sure that you pull those reports before June 28th. And another question came up. When pulling the LP report, you want to make sure that you also, for the end date, you can use May 14th, but it is recommended you use June 3rd. That way it gives time for any teachers to enter in any scores. Like I said, even though the end date for the spring assessment is May 14th, I would do your end date for pulling the LP report as June 3rd.
If I can show my screen.
Go right ahead.
And this is going to be a very quick. If people want more on this, please reach out to the help desk or give me a call. I've walked other people through this. The teacher account and the data manager account, unfortunately at this time, they do not have access to the same viewing of reports. Okay, so we are still working with Johns Hopkins to get all the bells and whistles that we want in this system. So currently, teachers have access to look at individual student data, whereas the data managers just have the SKB report and the learning progression report. And as a reminder, the SKB report is very similar to the KRA's item completion report, whereas on the SKB report, it's all 72 SKBs. And if you generate that report, you will be able to see whether a score has been entered for any one of those SKBs. And if there is not a score listed, then the teacher has not entered data for that SKB. But on the teacher side of things, what I've done here is I've logged into the teacher account. You see the teacher, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, the teacher has the early learning assessment data collection. When they open that data collection, there's an option for reports. There's an option for the spreadsheet, which is where they can enter data quickly, or they can open up the web app where they can add student ratings, notes, and artifacts. I'm going to show you reports. And remember, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to come back to this at a later time or reach out to us if you have questions. This just gives you a snapshot. I'm not going to talk about this screen. What I want to show you is students. So you have all these tabs here. I'm going to click on students. And I'm going to pick, I'm sorry. Yep, there it goes. It's just a little bit delayed. So here are my students that I have, and I can see out of these students how many items have been completed out of the SKBs. So I'm going to pick Sean Beck. He's got 45 items. If I open his student assessment, it gives me a very lengthy report, which I could print as it is. There's a button here for print score sheet, or I can modify it to my liking. I can include all of the items or the priority items. I can use item filters, and on here, I can just keep the ones clicked that I want to include in my report. So I can remove items if I'm not using those items at this time. So this is all at the teacher discretion on what he or she wants to include in a report. As you see, we've got ratings on here. We have a last rating, which was in this column on the left, and then we have a current rating. If you see this toggle bar here, I can show another previous rating. So if there have been 3 or more ratings entered over the course of the school year, you would see a previous rating, a last rating, and a current rating. This is another toggle for the rating values. The teacher needs to determine with the family. Are the ratings significant, or is it more about what the child is actually able to demonstrate? If the ratings don't mean anything at the moment of time with sharing this information with families, you can hide those numbers and letters, okay? You can also include a timeline, or you can hide it. The timeline is going to show all of the data points that have been entered. As a reminder, I have not filtered this out very much, so this report is very lengthy. This has almost every SKB, and you can see whether data has been entered or not, and the dates and times. Finally, comments. They're hidden at this moment, but if I show the comments, I can scroll down and see whether or not comments have been entered. Right here. The teacher wrote, "He hugged me when I him." That was a comment that the teacher wrote to show evidence that the child was a level 3 with seeking emotional support. So again, the teacher can modify this report showing as many or as little SKBs as desired, showing previous ratings or hiding them, showing rating values or hiding them, showing the timeline or hiding it, showing the comments or hiding them. And from there, they can click print the score sheet, which would open up to the print option available to the teacher at the local building, okay? And depending on what was selected, the report could be anywhere from 1 to, this report is 12 pages long here. Again, that is individual, and it is an individualized mechanism for teachers to generate those reports.
A couple of last items, just to make sure that if you have questions related to policy, or you're having some challenges with some how-to kinds of questions, these are some resources that you can go to. Obviously, the Ohio Department of Education's website, under the topic of early learning, you can click there and get to the early learning assessment information. And so we definitely want to make sure that that is a place that you frequent, certainly not just for policy questions, professional development, and just resources about the assessment in general. That is a great starting place for all of you. There is a data manager guideline site, which has some technical information about the KReady system, about using the KReady system. So there are some pieces there on that site. If you are not familiar with that, we suggest visit, take a look at that link. In addition, the Ohio K-12 site If you click the kindergarten readiness support link, that's going to take you to a wealth of resources that we've developed, again, in support of what you're doing as a data manager. Also, resources for your teachers and building admins as well. So we definitely want to encourage you to go to those locations. I'm sure many of you have already. This is the place that you go if you need assistance and need to create a progress ticket. So you can also go to our site. When you click that KReady support site, you'll see a link at the top of the page now that takes you to the location for the recordings of the trainings and webinars and notes and things. So we want to make sure that you know where that information is so that you can access that after today's session.